At the gun shop. Looks like we're getting started roughly on time tonight. Um, we've got a good show for you. Kind of like last week, we're going to talk about some really, really important things going on. Try to get some really good information out to you. If you've got any friends that are maybe not real strong with what's going on in our world and what's going on within the U.S. and the bad things that are happening, or any friends that just need to be brought up to date, share this, get them with us. Let's talk about it. Let's get the information out there. Um, we are open for questions tonight. Um, I've tried to do a lot of research getting ready for tonight, um, which some of you know is not something I really do a lot. I've done a lot of, but last week and this week, I feel like the stuff that we're going to be going over, the stuff we're going to talk about, is it's really important. Not going to be a political show, not going to be any of that. We're just going to talk about what's really happening to us. So to start off, tonight's show is fueled by FAFO. And after we get through with the topics tonight, you may think that there's a lot of people that are doing this.
Yep.
And they're going to have to find out.
And with the coffee, we just got a restock on 3.
Yep, we got restock. We just got a fresh batch of FAFO, Bunker Blend, and After Action. All are back in stock.
If you want.
So, move the Dr. Pepper out of the way. And we'll put those up there where you can see them. I admit to being just a bit biased. Everybody asked me my favorite. I'll go ahead and announce it tonight. My favorite is FAFO.
Strangely enough, whose face is on the front of the bag?
Has nothing to do with it.
I know.
Has nothing to do with it. That's a hard call because they're all so good. If you want, FAFO's got a little bite to it. It's a little bit on the more robust side. Like you've heard me say before, the Bunker Blend is just really, really, really smooth. It goes down like a really fine bourbon, and the After Action.
If you like bourbon,
it's just a taste bud treat. Aged in bourbon barrels, this is a wonderful evening whiskey.
evening coffee.
Well, I was reading something. This is a wonderful evening coffee or dessert coffee. It's a place to help you relax and get to your happy place. It's
Zach Moore wants to know which one mixes good with vodka.
any of the above. But I don't drink vodka. I hate that stuff.
John Miller says, hi, guys.
Hey, John. I guess you heard the good news. We got those results back today. And everything's good to go. And we'll put these over here out of the way for now.
And Diane said, hello.
Hello, Miss Di. Get us a little more FAFO here and get started. Again, guys, if you've got comments or if you've got questions, even if you got, firearms related questions or questions on custom gun builds or anything like that, go ahead and throw them out tonight. We can handle those. But I'm gonna dig right in here. We're going to talk about silencers and short barrel rifles. Wait times are still down. Well, we're seeing a lot of 1 to 3 day,
Yes, we are.
a lot of 1 to 3 day turnarounds. We had one come back 23 and a half hours. It's I've never seen anything like it.
Nope.
I've been reading from different places in the silencer world on what people think are happening, statements that have been made by the ATF on what's actually going on. Something new in the way they're processing, but this is a wonderful. If you've ever wanted silencer, if you've ever wanted SBR, short barrel rifle.
We had a gentleman get his SBR back in 5 days. 5.
This is the time.
Zach says, can he apply for an SBR and then build it at a later date?
No. No. There. Let me do some reading, Zach. There might possibly be a legal way to do that, but it's. Let me do some research before I answer it. I don't want to tell you something wrong. But that's going to be on a Form 1, not a Form 4. I don't know what's going on with Form 1s.
No.
I could tell you what's going on with built guns, but since Form 1s are filed between the builder, in this case that would be Zach, and the ATF.
Right.
I don't know near as much about what's going on there. I can tell you that silencers and short barrel rifles are coming back extremely fast, faster than I've ever seen, and it's the time that if you want one, I would be getting in there and get one, because here's the things that I'm afraid are going to happen. We already know demand is outstripped supply. We're not in too terrible a shape right now. We're meeting demand. We're being able to meet demand. Which is, what I understand across the country, a pretty good spot to be in, because a lot of people can't meet demand, or they're not getting what they need. So we're meeting demand. We're keeping a good stock of accessories for the cans that are coming in and going out. Where
Zach said, well, can I apply and have y'all build one at a later date? It's got to be built before it.
For us, we have to. It's weird. We build the gun, and then it's like you build the gun and then you have to file the paperwork before the end of the day.
Right.
I don't know, but
Just come see us, Zach.
So NFA stuff, still a good time buy. Prices are still reasonably level. What I expect to see as time goes on, and more and more people are hearing about it and getting involved, is demand is going to continue to go up. The infrastructure for supply has a cap. There's only so much infrastructure. There's only so much manufacturing capability.
Yep.
And when it does this on a wide enough margin, the prices are going to.
The demand's going to drive up the price.
Yes. Exactly. So, take advantage of what you can while you can. Now, something I've been reading about the last, 2 or 3 months. over in Finland, which got really strict gun laws. Okay, you got to have licenses for everything. You got to provide reasons for owning a gun, and self-defense is not a valid reason. They will not issue you an ownership permit for the reason of self-defense. But it seems like things there may be changing.
Oh.
The country of Finland itself, the federal government, is actually, and you got to figure, Finland's not that big a country, guys. But it's got a long border with Russia. They're adding 300 new public firing ranges staffed with instructors, with the stated goal of having more civilians engaged in shooting and learning gun safety. It seems like they've looked at the Ukraine, where nobody could have a gun. It's very, very strict, very, very totalitarian. Then they got invaded, and you saw pictures on the TV of them busted open crates of AK-47s or 74s, I couldn't tell. Kalashnikovs anyway, and even some M4s, and handing those out to people in the street, trying to get civilians armed because they needed it. And we saw Israel very, very, very strict on their gun control, and then we see what happened in October, where everybody was massacred like sheep. Finland's looking over and going, this ain't looking good. We might need to take some steps to protect the country and ready the national defense. And they're seeing that part of readying the national defense for Finland is getting the citizens of Finland armed and educated. Sounds a lot like what we used to do here in America. That's what the civilian marksmanship program was for. And one of the reasons Japan would never try a ground invasion of the U.S. They said there was a rifle behind every blade of grass. Back in 1776, when the British tried it, they found out.
They did.
Nobody wants to come fight on American soil because the American people are the largest standing army in the world. So, Finland, you're starting to see move toward that.
Nathan Smith said, "Our incoming. Who isn't scared of Sleepy Joe going to bring us into this?"
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
He said, "Our incoming. Who isn't scared of Sleepy Joe going to bring us into this?"
That's a job that should have been finished a long time ago. And that's where I'm going to leave that. Iran, Iraq, some of those, that should have been finished a long time ago. And it wasn't. So until that's finished, we're always going to have issues. So anyway, we see Finland maybe starting to wake up and open their eyes, but yet here in the U.S., where we have had the benefit of this, and we still have our guns for self-protection, always, we have since the inception of the country. um, going the other way. And I want to show you right now what I mean by that. This last spending bill, what was it, 1.2 or 1.6 trillion dollars
Too much.
spending bill. One of the items in that bill was basically a National Red Flag Center. It's a center set up. They got $750 million. Now, I don't know. That is a fairly big sum of money that somebody ought to be noticing. But yet, Bill Haggerty and David Kustoff both voted to pass the spending bill.
Somebody not reading them?
No, they're not. Of course not. Now, they're the people that's going to run out and tell us how conservative they are. As a matter of fact, I got emails in my inbox telling me how conservative they are, how they're with us, and yet they voted for the bill to fund this. Anybody that voted on that spending bill and voted to pass it really did a lot of damage to the American citizens. And we're going to talk. We're going to get into this. What is red flag laws? Well, for those who don't know, it's something that they can make sound really good to people on the surface. Okay, if you see somebody that if there's somebody that's out of their mind or that's not acting right or could be dangerous, then they go in and temporarily take their firearms away from them, and now until this gets worked out. Well, let me just the way this works is I'm going to read you the government release, okay? Okay. The Justice Department launched the National Extreme Risk Order Protection Order Resource Center, which will provide training, technical assistance to law enforcement, prosecutors, attorneys, judges, clinicians, victim service, social service providers, community organizations, behavioral health professionals responsible for implementing laws designed to keep guns out of the hands of people who pose a threat to themselves or others. Not one person in that list is authorized to make law, and only law enforcement officers and judges implement law or enforce law. So basically, anybody that wants to, because look at this, community organizations. Is that the 4-H club?
Could be.
Is that the Boys and Girls Club?
Yeah, could be.
Now, what does that mean?
Whatever
So
they want it to mean to fit their agenda.
All of these people are responsible for implementing law designed to keep guns out of the hands of people who pose a threat to themselves or others. Now, from the launch of the National Extreme Risk Protection Order Resource Center will provide our partners across the country with valuable resources to keep firearms out of the hands of individuals who pose a threat to themselves or other, quote by Attorney General Merrick B. Garland. ERPO laws, which are modeled off domestic violence protection orders, create a civil process allowing law enforcement, family members in most states, and medical professions or other groups to petition a court to temporarily prohibit someone at risk of harming themselves or others from purchasing and possessing firearms for the duration of the order. Though the center and its newly launched website states, through the center and its newly launched website, states, local governments, law enforcement, prosecutors, attorneys, judges, clinicians, victim service providers, behavioral health services, and other social service providers have direct access to critical information that will enhance their ability to reduce firearms homicides and suicides.
So doctors can now ask you about your guns.
And they are. And we're going to get to that. Okay. Now, here's something interesting. Guess who is hosting this data? Guess who gets all this data?
Who?
The Johns Hopkins. Johns Hopkins, and get this, Bloomberg School of Public Health. The same Bloomberg that funds huge gun control efforts, thinks every gun in America should be confiscated. Former mayor of New York, got his little criminal enterprises. They're going to be the ones hosting and getting and processing the information. Now, let me tell you how this really works, okay? There's no due process. The Constitution guarantees American citizens due process. If somebody says, Billy Bob is dangerous, they have to go to Billy Bob, and everybody goes to court.
Mm-hmm.
They have a hearing in front of a judge. The judge or even a jury trial decides this. That's due process. Right?
Right.
Right. So the way these things work is no. Let's say Sally Sue gets mad at Billy Bob, and she picks up the phone and calls the popo and says, hey, Billy Bob is being dangerous. He is a threat. Oh, red flag law, we have to go. Now, without due process, with nothing but an allegation, we go to Billy Bob's house and kick in his door and take his stuff.
Don't sound quite right to me.
And now it's Billy Bob's job, if he doesn't get killed because some strangers come up kicking in his door, similar to Little Rock. Now it's up to Billy Bob to bear the burden of getting to court and proving that he's not this person and that that's not true. It shifts the whole burden of guilt onto him, and he has to prove himself innocent. And we're picking some of the biggest gun control places that are very hostile to any type of gun ownership to host this. And now we're going to get doctors involved. You're talking about doctors. We're going to get doctors involved. If you noticed in the last few years, when you go to the doctor, they start asking questions, and they got things on there about how many guns do you own? What type of guns do you own? I had a friend call me recently, a younger gentleman, younger guy. He and his wife are expecting. And they were at a doctor's office, and they were giving paperwork to fill out. And he goes, hey, dude, man, look, they won't know how many guns I got, what I got, da. And I'm like, leave. It's none of their business. But yet, another way to get registry, because now the doctors, what are they going to do? They're going to turn it in. They're going to have a record.
And wouldn't that be a violation of HIPAA laws?
Well,
you would think.
And you say, well, man, doc, the AMA is foaming at the mouth, American Medical Association, foaming at the mouth to have guns declared a national health crisis so that they can get in with the Center for Disease Control, and run regulations that way. Guys, this is stuff that's really happening. I'm not making it up. It's not far-fetched. This has happened. This has happened. It's not predicting. It's not speculating. It's talking about things that have already come to pass. People say, you can't be a conspiracy theorist when it's already out there and real.
It's true.
How is it a conspiracy if it's already out there and real? So, here the government's using doctors and the AMA is using individuals, and they're driving another wedge of distrust between doctors and their patients. We still have this thing floating around out here about certain medications that if people have ever been prescribed certain medications, that they're going to be ineligible to own guns.
I'm just speechless.
But this is real.
I know.
And you put on top of that Biden's executive order that we talked about last week, that in essence bans the private sale of firearms, and even certain discussions like that law says you don't even have to sell a gun. It's just the language you use if you're talking about it.
Yep.
Can get you put in prison, make you a felon. Guys, this is all on national news. You can even find this stuff on CNN, NBC, MSNBC, the left-wing mouthpieces. Except they're all telling you how great it is, how wonderful this is. So there's, all you got to do, some things just get me speechless.
How's your coffee?
My coffee is wonderful.
Okay.
It's just,
It's gonna get your blood pressure up.
oh, my blood pressure's already
Oh,
up.
I know.
Now let's take this. This week in a New York courtroom, I got this guy. He's like genius type guy that loves to build stuff.
Oh yes, I saw this.
Okay.
Yeah.
He had built cars. He built all these other things. To find out he got into building guns. Did not sell any guns. Did not offer guns for sale. Did not do anything other than, I guess, build them and put them in his corner or safe.
It was his hobby. I
It
mean,
was his hobby.
there's people
he
that have
wa-
all kinds of hobbies.
People build model cars. People build
Model airplanes and
whatever.
all
He
kinds
built
of
them, and I don't know if he had them sitting up looking at them or whatever. He never sold one, never offered for sale, wasn't into that. He was just into building his own stuff. So they arrest him. They take him to court. And by the way, yes, they convicted him, and yes, they're sending him to prison. But before the opening arguments in his trial, he was working, the other thing, he was working toward getting his FFL because he wanted to open a gunsmithing facility.
Nathan Smith said, "Tom, sorry. Can I back up to last week?"
Yes.
He said, "I've been not able to read about all the new regs, but as Lance knows, and I'm sure Tom, you see my brother and I trade a lot due to my dad having a large collection. The question: does anything you have read something from bringing in guns to trade with you?"
Not that I can see. I've read through this. I've only read through it twice. And with all the mumbo jumbo, but I don't see you trading guns or doing business at at a licensed shop, because they're still getting what they want then, because that gun's going, once you trade it, it's going on the books, it's
Right.
going through the paperwork, it's going through that. I'm not a lawyer. You know, I just tell you guys what I've read, and I try to print it so I can read it, uh, like it's written. I don't see it being a big problem, but frankly, brother, who knows?
John Miller, how can you take an oath to uphold the law as a judge, then pick and choose what laws you want to enforce?
Look, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, as soon as that come out of this person's mouth, because I haven't got to what she actually said yet. Um, the bailiff should have went up and handcuffed her and took her into custody.
Yep.
Because what she said is, I do not want to hear a word about the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment does not exist in my courtroom. This is New York. That, in the face of her oath, I would see as treason. I don't know. I may be wrong. All you guys may disagree with me. But
Yes, Dak, that's what we're talking about.
what's that?
He said he had to rejoin. He said, got to be talking about dumbass New York lawyer.
That was the judge.
Yeah.
Um,
And Nathan said, oh, I know. I appreciate it,
Nathan,
Tom, as always.
if you go, I know you're on our Facebook page. If you go up a little bit, like Stephanie's got a link to that actual rule pinned or on the Facebook.
I'll see if it's still pinned on there. It may.
On the Facebook page that you can click on and go to that. And, like we talked about last week, the first probably 20 pages has really nothing of substance, if I remember right. It's like most of these, it's the middle section is where the substance is. Or when they actually start talking about the rule itself rather than what led up to the rule and the history and all of that. But she's checking now to see.
I'm going to pin it. It's not pinned, but it is now.
She has now pinned it to the top of the Facebook page where you can click on that and see the actual rule. I wished I had better answers for you, brother. But again, I'm really, really hoping that Joe Tubbs gets a chance to read through this and he and I get a chance to sit down and talk. He, I think, is probably one of the best firearms lawyers in the country. So,
Well, let's set it.
I'm hoping to get to have a printed copy of this and sit down and talk with Joe and maybe hash out a little better understanding. So anyway, we got this judge in New York says Second Amendment does not exist in her courtroom. So her courtroom, she just said it's not part of America, and she can suspend whoever's rights she wants to when they come into a court of law where the rights of the innocent are supposed to be protected. Huh. And guys, things like this aren't just happening in New York, they're happening all over the country. Just they don't get as much airplay. Or they get quietened down. You hear about activist judges and that kind of thing, and we're seeing them in with district attorneys and prosecutors and it's like the whole legal system's just plain gone to hell.
Zach said, can someone not file some kind of civil rights lawsuit against her? It's New York. Who knows what they do
Yeah.
there?
Zach, I don't know, but, and I'm not a lawyer, but I would think that with that statement being said from the bench, that that whole trial could be, thrown out on appeal, or, if he's got a lawyer worth his salt, he ought to be able to take that statement being made from the bench and do something. I would think.
You would think.
Now let's get to the little bit of good news.
We got good news.
We got a little bit of good news.
Well, we talking about the suppressors again. That was good news.
That was good news. Finland building 300 ranges and possibly looking to do the right thing by their citizens could be good news.
I want some more good news.
We got another ruling telling the ATF that the brace law is not legal.
That's good news.
So, it's SB Tactical is shipping product again. I noticed today that CAC had their Shockwave braces back on their website. So, maybe.
I would have to agree with Zach. He said that there's some sections of America that are, I'm going to say not good. That's not what he said, and that's one of them. New York is one of them.
The problem is we hear about it there, but it's happening in so many other places.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, we got a lot of problems right here in West Tennessee that we're ignoring.
Mm-hmm.
We really do. And they're going to come back and bite us. But on to the next order of business. And that's kind of leading into it. Wasn't meant to be a segue, but it worked out very nicely. One of the things we're seeing is more and more and more and more of these pro-Palestinian rallies.
Yeah.
And now it's gone past pro-Palestinian. It's gone to we hate America.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's gone from, hey, we want to defend people that invade other people's country and kill and maim and rape and destroy, which is horrible.
Very.
To now the chance of death to America.
Yep.
And these are raising up, especially on college campuses. Many of those that get our tax dollars.
Mm-hmm.
But they're raising up more and more and more. I mean, there's been this happening in West Tennessee, and it was kept down. You just don't hear anything about it. But it's not hard to figure out the locations. This kind of stuff, guys, is dangerous. When you put people in a herd environment and you charge them up with this type of stuff, eventually something's going to explode. If you notice what Texas is doing, they're going in and shutting it down.
Yep.
And yeah, everybody has First Amendment rights. That is true. Everybody has the right to peacefully assemble. That is true. That is guaranteed in the Constitution. And, if these people are standing out there yelling death to America peacefully and organized and exercising that right, you know what? I disagree with them. If that's how they feel, they need to get the hell out of here and go somewhere else. But if they're American citizens, that's their right. However, it's not their right to inflame crowds into riot and put lives and property at risk. That's when you move past peaceful assembly. Okay, if people can stand out there and chant and do it in a way that's constitutionally protected, which if they want to say death to America, that's constitutionally protected speech. Uh, Again, strongly disagree, and if that's how they feel, get the hell out of here and go somewhere else.
Agreed.
And if they're doing it in an orderly fashion that's peaceable, I don't know how you chant death to somebody and it be peaceable, but anyhow, well, let's say what we can figure out how that can be. Then all you do is leave them alone and disagree with them. But where this is going, guys, this is going to get dangerous. It already is dangerous.
Zach said that's where liberalism turns into a cancerous disease.
Well, you're right. And, you already see. I was talking with somebody and I started looking at it. And most of us don't realize, if you read from the Obama administration, the Obama time forward, if you start looking at history books or it deals with Hitler, okay, we all know Hitler was hard left. Everything that the hard left believes in, that was Hitler. Okay, now he's being portrayed as a far right. Just totally change, rewrite, and make a lie out of history. But anyway, that was just a aside. But folks, we got to start paying attention. As conservatives, as the people we are, we tend to be the ones that say live and let live. Just let me live and take care of my family and do what I need to do to build a life for us. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be.
John said they want to rewrite history. Yeah, and when they do that, it's bound to repeat itself.
It usually gets worse. But
Yep.
anyway, so be aware that this is not something that's happening in faraway places. A lot of this, this stuff, this red flag thing, we just had to take on the governor of Tennessee, supposedly the staunch conservative, the, whatever he's supposed to be, everything else, called a special session of the legislature to try to implement red flag laws in the state of Tennessee, and Cameron Sexton and others were going right along with him.
Yep.
Thank God for people like Brock Martin and Chris Todd. Who stood up and said no, along with many others. I'm hoping we're going to get, hopefully next week, I've got next week slated to have a guest. And I'm not 100% sure who yet, but I can promise you it will be interesting. But to get on through tonight's show, these things are not problems that are a long way away. They're problems that are here on top of us, and we have to pay attention to. Now, turning back a little bit to the Second Amendment world, gun world, whatever we want to call it. Guys, there are certain parts of the gun market right now that are really, really depressed. Okay? Things like the AR platform rifles are depressed. Somewhat the AKs. Certain tactical shotguns. there's several different things that you see the market is depressed on, and it's probably a good time to take advantage of that if you need something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always say be prepared, not panicked. And you know, one of the ways we prepare is by strategically having what we need and making sure we have it before we need it, and not be out running around at the last minute trying to put things together.
Zach said people are scared to buy them in fear of becoming a felon at the stroke of a pen.
Well, you know, the same bill, this is something people don't realize, the same bills that they're labeling assault weapons bills,
Mm-hmm.
guess what? They would get a Beretta A400. Sure would. They would get a Benelli Super Black Eagle 3. They would, yeah. There's one of them that says any gas operated firearm. So, you know, Remington 1100, Sportsman 58, Browning Gold, Browning Silver, Winchester Super X4, Benelli the Benelli 300 and 400s, or Beretta 300 400 series.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we just keep going and going.
Yep.
So, Zach, I understand that most people don't read past the headline, don't read past the big letters. Oh, it's an assault weapons ban. Well, you better look a little closer, because a lot of these bills that they're masquerading as so-called assault weapons bans are much further reaching. You know, it's kind of like this Bipartisan Safer Communities Act of 2022 that was passed. Everybody goes, oh, it's benign, it's not got this. It may be the most dangerous piece of anti-gun legislation passed since 1968. When you look at everything it actually does.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of so-called Republicans crossed the line to vote for it. But again, there are certain parts of the market that are depressed and prices are down on right now. Just a word to the wise. Be prepared, not panicked. So that gets through this. Now let's get to the fun part of the show and let's look at some guns. Let's start tonight off. Tell me if we can see okay.
Yep.
With the Nagant revolver. These guns were designed in the 1800s. Went all the way through. They made them into World War II anyway. And here's the cool thing. Regardless of what they showed on TV in the 70s and 80s. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This was the only revolver that was ever really suppressible. And can everybody see?
The ones here can. This one's...
Tell me when.
They can... You're
Okay.
good.
Guys, as I cock the hammer, watch the cylinder. Did you see it move?
I could.
I gotta get this out of my way. Okay. Let's try it again. We're gonna cock it. You see the cylinder move forward
Mm-hmm.
and lines up and closes the gap with the barrel.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it does.
So, the reason you couldn't successfully suppress revolvers is because of the barrel and cylinder gap here.
But this one moves it forward, so you can.
Because lots of sound and blast comes out of there, and it just nullifies the effect of the suppressor.
Correct.
But this gun, for when it was designed, it moves the cylinder forward to where it rides up on the barrel. And I've got a cartridge for this thing laying anywhere close.
Oh, I don't know.
I guess he'll be back in a minute. Zach, how'd you say that over the counter?
I guess I don't. But... Anyway, the cartridge itself is really cool because it's a bottleneck cartridge and the bullet is down inside. So that part of the cartridge overrides the barrel. And it makes a complete seal, a double seal here that locks in the gas. So you can actually take this and put a suppressor on it. You go get me the one off the wall.
That's what I was.
And have a suppressed revolver, if that's something that you want to do. This particular gun was made in 1923. It's the model of 1895, manufacture date 1923. These things saw service with the Russian army in lots of conflicts. Let's bring that out front so people can see it. So here is another Nagant revolver. This one's 1944 version that we had that Mr. Frank cut the sight ramp back on, moved the rear sight, and threaded so that we could, in fact, suppress it. Now, if you want to go to the range and have everybody there staring at you, just take this. It's been a lot of fun, and
just because you can doesn't mean that you should sometimes.
Oh yeah, we had this was in 1944, so you know it's late. It was a Tesla Arsenal gun, but the way they put the import stamps on it just ruined any opportunity of ever really being a collector.
Yeah.
They put the import stamps all across right there.
Yuck.
Yeah. So you had
it was okay on that one.
You had good mechanical pistol. They've already messed it up with the way they did the stamps. So why not go ahead and make a fun gun out of it?
Why not?
And I'll let you have that and that back. So the model 1895, they come out with a gun that you could actually suppress.
You'll have to hang it back up.
Guarantee you it wasn't their plan. And what made them think of doing it this way, I have no idea.
Zach said Tesla, so it's electric.
That's right. Do you know Elon was around back then? So, great, I say great gun. A great fun gun.
Yes.
This piece of history. Something not everybody ever gets to play with. And just a neat gun. Talking about neat guns, we're gonna go over here and our next neat gun for tonight is a Colt 1903 pocket hammered. They had a hammer and a hammerless. This one shot 38 rimless, smokeless. What?
Zach said Elon's an alien, so yes, it's possible he's from that time.
Um,
And yeah, Diane, yeah, that's one of the ones that come with the unlimited ammo on TV, like on TV.
so this gun that we're looking at here was made in 1905.
That's a pretty cool gun.
And actually, if you got ammunition that you don't mind shooting, this gun is in wonderful condition mechanically. I mean, it shows wear from 1905. I mean, this thing's been floating around since 1905, and
But that gun looks good. I've taken some photos of that one.
it you can see Browning influence in there that later went into the 1911.
Zach had just said looks very 1911-ish.
Well, I mean, it's John Browning design. And look at these. These are original Colt grips from 1905, and they're still in nice shape. No, they're not cracked. They're not broke up.
They're beautiful.
Gun functions really well. Just kind of, this gun's 119 years old.
That's kind of old.
And you can still walk out there and shoot it right now, and it'll run flawlessly. I wonder if we'll be able to say that later. So, in that vein, let's stay with Colt,
Which one we're gonna look at now?
and let's go a little bit further back. Let's go back to 1894 and a Colt Lightning.
It's a pretty cool gun.
Very popular rifle at the time. It was fast with the pump action, held a lot of rounds, chambered in the 38 caliber. Of course, you got your rampant pony there on the side. Really cool gun. Well, shows its age. Of course, this particular gun was built in 1894. The bore is still actually nice on this gun. It's got a fairly strong bore. And everything's it works nicely. And I don't know. I was always really kind of like those little pump, the little just don't put your hand on.
It's pretty good.
So now we're going to step up a little more modern. We're going to go.
Zach said it's 24 feet long. It better hold a lot of rounds.
It holds a lot of rounds. Now we're going to take a trip back, not quite as far. We're just going to 1976.
I was 2. That was a long time ago.
Diane was being born.
Yep.
I was 6.
Yep.
Wearing a silly red, white, and blue hat and a red coat to celebrate the bicentennial.
I bet you were adorable.
I doubt it.
Probably getting in trouble. So that one is from
This is a Remington.
That's from 76?
Yep.
Wow. That's gorgeous.
This is a Remington 3200 Skeet. It's got the Skeet rib, ejectors, and boy, they eject. Let me tell you, I test shot this gun, and when I broke it open, it threw them nearly across the room. Adjustable cheek piece, and yeah, that thing. The gun itself is chambered in 12 gauge. However, it comes with a set of Briley 20 gauge, 28 gauge, and 410 gauge tubes.
That's pretty awesome.
So, you can shoot all 4.
That's what was in that box earlier that I saw.
Yeah, it's in the aluminum case.
Yeah.
Of course, you had your selector here. Top, bottom are safe. And guys, look at that wood.
It is absolutely gorgeous. I'll have to get some
Yeah.
pictures of this one and get them up.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is a real Remington.
Gorgeous gun.
You know, this is the design that started Krieghoff. Krieghoff bought the design for their guns from Remington, and this is what your Krieghoffs are based on.
Doll hairs?
Hmm?
Doll hairs?
Oh, 1800. Okay, now for a thing of absolute beauty. Modern shotgun, as new in the box, unfired. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. We're gonna bring out Caesar Greeny. 28 gauge. This thing is amazing. Look at that. Can everybody see?
I believe so.
Guys, if you can't see, you want to.
You need to come to the shop and look at this one.
Just, this is the Magnus Light. 28 gauge. Just look at that wood.
It's just beautiful.
Absolutely amazing shotgun. Just, I don't know what else. I had one more I was going to show you tonight. And, well, kind of sort of sold it before the show.
Yeah.
But they tell me that's what I'm supposed to do with them.
Zach said, speaking of things of beauty, I'm recently into 2011s. As of very recent, can y'all get the Tesis Mac 9 DS?
The answer's yes. And I've got some ordered. I just don't know how long it's going to take to get them here. As you know, those guns are built. They're designed in the U.S. They're engineered in the U.S. They're actually built in Turkey under the eyes of engineers and technicians from the U.S. Actually, from Tennessee. I have got to call Tim tomorrow. Owe him an apology. He sent me a text and I missed it.
Uh-oh.
And apparently he tried to call me the other day, same time Paul was trying to call me, and my phone had somehow, I don't know, got on Do Not Disturb. So it wasn't ringing.
Oh.
I didn't even know it did that. So I got to trying to figure out why it wouldn't, and I seen this big blue thing that said Do Not Disturb, and I said, that shouldn't be blue. And so, I owe Tim an apology, but I've got to talk to him tomorrow, and I'll see what the timeline is on that. I think I got a Tesis in the commander size over there. And I may have something else in the back that I haven't. I've got to go back there and look. I got to put some guns out tomorrow.
There's a few Tesis in the back. I just don't know what they are.
So, trying to think anything else we need to get. Anybody got questions for me or anything that you guys want to bring up?
Any questions? Comments?
You guys want?
Insults?
Because we got other people watching, so you may have a question that I can't answer that somebody else may be able to. And so this is a good time to throw those out there.
Zach says he's absolutely in love with his, but debating doing the upgraded version.
With the one you got, I would keep it and get, because the Mac is the commander size. So it's going to be about 3/4 of an inch shorter or so on barrel length and all. one of the reasons I haven't bought one yet, besides I'm not getting enough to meet demand, is I can't decide which one to buy first. The truth is, I'm gonna have all four, but I'm wrestling trying to figure out which one goes first. Because these guns are, they're
Getting reviewed all over
and
the internet.
You just can't.
Tom stepped over there to see what we got in the case.
I got one in the case, which is a Commander size. So for any of you guys that don't know what we're talking about, this is Thesis introduced their 2011 at this year's SHOT Show. There are 3 different variations right now under the Thesis brand, and then under MAC, Military Armament Corporation, there is a what I call the souped up version. These are 17 plus 1 round 9mm magazines, interchanged, of course, with staccato. They're cut for the for a red dot sight. This is a
And on that, Zach wants to know what red dots do we carry with that footprint?
Holosun, mainly Holosun, but it's the RSMC footprint.
Yep, that's what he.
So it's really easy. It's really easy to find sites that just pop right on, no plate needed. Now, a cool thing they did to save the rear sight because of there's just room constraints, and typical 1911 rear sight styled rear sights just don't have enough room in here. So they went to a sight with a Glock cut. So the rear sight has the same cut as a standard frame Glock.
Okay.
And then the front, of course, is cut for a Novak Low Pro. Beaver tail, memory groove, checkered on the back, or I don't know if you call it checkered, but got some grippy.
Texture.
We got more right there. Got the magazine well, flat face trigger.
Zach said he's been doing a metric ton of research.
One of the things I like about the Thesis version, absolutely love the Mac version. It's the souped up, it's the doll of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But on the Thesis version, it uses a standard 1911 barrel with the bushing. And everybody says, well, big deal. What's that?
What is the big deal?
I can fit a threaded barrel into here.
That's awesome.
Then I can pop it down. I can throw my suppressor on it. If I want to.
We got a pretty cool.
Yeah, let me show them that too before we go tonight. If I want to, and make it sound like a popcorn popper. So yeah, that's the gun. That's one of the guns we're talking about, guys. Y'all didn't see me do that. Never ride the hammer down on 1911. Make sure the chamber's empty and pull the trigger. That's the proper way to drop the hammer on 1911.
Do we have a threaded barrel?
I don't have a Commander Link threaded barrel.
Can we get one?
Yes. That's part of my phone call tomorrow.
To Tim?
Yeah, he's supposed to have a couple for me.
Awesome.
And so we'll see.
Awesome.
But anyway, that's that. Wonderful gun, and we don't sell guns on Facebook, and we don't do this, and we don't do that, and we don't do a lot of things. But this little gun, 750 of you and of your buddies, y'all could all have a good time.
Yep.
And that is obnoxiously low.
for the quality.
You know, one of the things about there are no MIM parts in this gun. Everybody else wants to MIM their parts. Kimber, Springfield. A lot of these companies want to MIM their parts, which is metal injection molding.
Zach said, I think I need to come and get learned on some things because that comment really piqued my interest about the barrel. Come on, Zach.
You know, here they use forged machine parts. Nothing MIM, no powdered metal blown into a
Mold?
mold and pressed. It's all made like it's supposed to be. So this is a gun people better be paying attention to because it's going to rule the day. Now, you know, we've mentioned a few times and in the past that we were looking at picking up trying out a new can, and they finally came in. This is the GSL Fat Man. These are primarily designed for subguns. They work with the Tri-Lug adapters.
Mm-hmm.
We actually set one of these up on somebody's gun today. It was cool.
It was cool.
The can is short, but it's over 2 inches in diameter. So you're still getting lots of volume.
So it's going to be quiet.
It's going to be quiet. It's going to keep the gun short, and it's going to keep the gun quiet.
Heather Denham said, Tom, the trigger does get better with shooting.
It does. 500 to 700 rounds, and that trigger seems to hit a sweet spot. And hi, Heather. How are you? Ain't seen you in a while. Glad to hear from you. But it's probably Chris.
I don't know.
But yeah, these just got them in. I think that's going to be a really different experience. Can't wait to get out and try it. And have these died?
Yeah, it did.
We've lost mics. So I guess I've been rattling on long enough. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. If you like this format, please let me know. If you got any show ideas, I mean, we've got lots of things we can do, but if you guys got any particular show ideas that you want to see, please let me know or let Steph know. What?
Zach says I get joy from the giggles behind the camera.
I'm glad we can give you joy. But anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. Good morning to everybody that's listening on Friday. We appreciate all of you. And we're going to say good night with God bless you, God bless America. Everybody pray hard.